Hey everybody, it's Adam L. coming to you once again with another video here from Full House Outfitters. What I want to talk about today is my 4 rules of gun purchasing. Now, the whole point of the exercise is to avoid buyer's remorse. And we've all done it. We've all bought things that we decided after the fact, not the brightest moment I've ever had. Maybe I shouldn't have bought that. So that's what we're going to try to avoid here with the 4 rules of gun buying. And let's immediately leap into the first one. Know why you're buying what you're buying. I know that sounds pretty simplistic on its face, but the reality is, like I said, we've all bought things that we've impulse purchases, I guess is what you'd call them, and then said after the fact that this gun does not fit anything I need it to do. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to judge your reasons for buying what you buy, but know why. So that might involve something as simple as going to your safe, having a look through it and saying, all right, I have a void here. I'm short on this one area. Maybe I should fill it with a particular model of gun, and you go do your research and you buy it. Another perfectly good reason is I've always wanted it. And I'll get into more of that in a bit. But if you've been lusting after a particular firearm for years and you have the financial ability to buy it, buy it. But all I'm saying is know why you're buying, what you're buying, when you buy it. That way you won't suffer the buyer's remorse that all of us have experienced one time or another. Okay. Number 2, second rule of gun buying that I utilize, make sure a particular firearm is properly outfitted before going hunting for your next one. All right, and what that means is every gun should be outfitted properly. Notice I didn't say accessorized. Accessories are stuff like lasers and lights and bipods and grenade launchers and cup holders and things like that that you might, bedazzle your AR with. Those are accessories. All right, outfitting a gun is the essentials. Okay, so that means if you've got a detachable mag gun, it means having extra magazines. It means having a sufficient stash of ammunition, and it also means having the proper gun leather. Now this goes for handguns or long guns, it doesn't matter. Okay, so when you buy a gun, obviously we've all heard the expression that a gun without ammunition is just merely an expensive club, an impact weapon, and that's true. Okay, so your first purchase obviously should be a good stash of ammo, assuming you don't already have one. Number 2, magazines. Magazines break, they wear out, they get lost. They're a consumable commodity, and you should have extras. A dozen per gun would be a good round number. And number 3, the biggie, is gun leather. A lot of people come up short on this one. They have a series of handguns and long guns in their safe with no slings, no holsters. Now, where that becomes problematic is if you need to field with a standard complement of a long gun and handgun, and you don't have gun leather for either one. Well, what does gun leather do? It's a weapon retention, number 1. It's carriage, number 2. And it keeps you from being separated from your gun. That's the weapon retention part. So if you need to use your 2 hands to do something other than fire a gun, you need to be able to keep your gun with you, attached to your person in some fashion. Now, please, please, please do not think just because you own a $2,000 Safe Queen 1911 that it won't one day be pressed into field service. It might. You don't know that it won't. Okay? So if you're paying $2,000 for a gun, I just picked that round number up, drop 10% of the purchase price on a good quality belt and the proper gun leather for it if you don't already have it. That's important because you just never know when, you know what, I got to leave the house today and I got to bring this gun. The situation demands it. Be ready. You can't walk around with a gun in your hand all the time. So those are the 3 things there that I consider to be critically important. And whatever you do, please do not buy, an $11, crappy piece of nylon to strap on your garbagey 1-inch dress belt. Take the time. Gun leather is part, and when I say gun leather, I also mean stuff like Kydex and the heavier nylon materials, Cordura and stuff like that. I use gun leather in a general sense, meaning everything. So make sure your gun is properly outfitted before you go buy another one. So if you're thinking of buying a gun, really strongly suggest you head back to your safe and just make sure that everything else is outfitted the way it should be first. Okay. Rule number 3, have a handgun for every long gun. At least one handgun for every long gun. What we're trying to avoid here is being in a field condition where you don't have a backup firearm. Okay, so what that means is if we're going to field with a long gun, everybody should have a backup sidearm on them at all times. I don't care if you're hunting, I don't care if it's patrolling a situation of civil unrest, you should have a backup. Most gun owners I've found and spoken to over the years, and people who watch my videos, are prepper types. So we're used to system redundancy, we're used to having backups for our backups, so it only makes sense that a handgun should back up every long gun, numerically. So if you have 4 long guns in your safe that are properly outfitted with the gun leather they need, make sure there are at least one firearm as a sidearm to back them all up. They don't have to be a matched pair or anything like that, but just make sure you're not leaving the house for whatever reason with just a long gun. We want to avoid that. Okay, I'm going to make this a quick video. Number 4. If you're going to the trouble to have a significant stash of ammunition in a particular caliber, give some serious consideration about having at least 2 guns that fire it. Okay, this goes back to the redundancy and backup situation that I just talked about. If you have a really awesome rifle that you just positively love and you have an incredible stash for it of ammo, and what happens if that gun malfunctions? Okay, if you only have the one gun, it malfunctions for whatever reason, you've just essentially rendered your entire ammo stash useless but for barter. Okay, so here's a good example. Years ago, I had no rhyme or reason to my firearms collection. I was a younger guy, didn't know what I was doing. And I had guns in every caliber you could think of. And then I went and I looked at the shelf one day and just said, well, why do I own all of these guns? And why do I own all of these calibers? When I could really seriously simplify my collection, condense everything, and have many, many fewer calibers than I currently do. So to give you an idea, in terms of different calibers I stock, 4. That's it. All right. And I have multiple guns in those calibers. So no matter what happens, if a gun fails for whatever reason, I still have another gun with which I can shoot that ammo. Okay, so for instance, I stock 308, 22, 45, and 44 Magnum, and that's it. Now, when I say multiple guns, they don't have to be the same gun. They don't even have to be the same kind of gun. So for instance, I might have a 308 battle rifle and a 308 scope bolt gun, for instance. Okay, my 44 mag, I have a lever gun and a revolver that shoot the same, and I'll do a video on that at some point too, because it's a nice pair. Or in the case of 45, it's just I have a Glock and I have a 1911 that shoot the 45. But again, we think about, well, I should have a backup firearm just in case one malfunctions. Well, you should also have backup firearms in case one malfunctions and potentially renders your ammo stock useless. Okay, so those are my big 4 rules that have served me well over the years, and I mean they're guidelines. You can pick and choose from them. Perhaps you've decided that none of them really suit your situation. That's fine too. I'm also going to throw in one more, the honorable mention, number 5. We've all heard Mom say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and there is a great deal of truth to that. So for gun owners, it means don't keep all your guns in one location. Okay, so if you have a beautiful Fort Knox safe at home, and I'm sure it's very secure and very fireproof and everything else, don't keep everything there. If there is a fire or you sustain a robbery or something goes wrong, you don't want to lose your entire collection in one fell swoop. All right, so my recommendation is go in with a friend of yours and see if you can keep part of your collection at his house. And in return, offer to do the same thing for them. Okay, so what that means is if either one of you sustains a fire or a theft or whatever, you haven't lost your entire collection. Like I said, that's just another guideline, but something I wanted to throw out there real fast because I think it's important. Okay, as mentioned, not going to belabor the point. Those are 4 rules for gun buying. Give it some thought. See, maybe they'll work for you. Like I said, they've worked with me for a great many years. And that's all I got from here. Stay tuned. I got some more stuff coming out this month. And as always, thanks for subscribing and watching. I'll see you at the range.